Hi, I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Colorado's real estate authority, Barb Schlinker. Barb Schlinker is a retired Navy veteran. Barb is an author. Barb's also a pilot. And Barb and her team enjoy all that Colorado and the Front Range have got to offer. Barb, always great to be talking with you. Now, we air Your Real Estate Voice, the show, every Saturday. If you can't listen to the entire program, it's always available on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or just search for it. You'll find Barb on all of the popular podcast platforms like iHeartRadio. Every week, Your Real Estate Voice covers great information about the housing market and one of people's largest assets, the home. So, Barb, what are we covering today?
Well, Richard, the first one I'm going to talk about is pricing. I know I talk about pricing a lot, but the subject is why overpricing a home could cost a home seller tens of thousands and how to avoid it. Now, why am I talking about this? Because it doesn't take much of an adjustment to get it right, but most people actually want to price the home above what the market could command for, quote, negotiating room. And that's a terrible mistake because the buyers actually know the market better than most real estate agents. They know what's available, they know what they're looking for, and if they think it's overpriced, they won't show up. They just won't even come look at it. That's how much it demand destruction it creates when you do that. So this topic is really going to be about pricing and how overpricing helps you and how pricing it right overpricing hurts you and pricing it right actually helps you an awful lot. The second topic kind of fits in. It's about what's considered a lowball offer in real estate and what can you do about it when you get it. You know, some home sellers get very indignant when they get a low offer, but if that's their only choice, treat them well. You never know what they're actually really willing to pay. And sometimes it's their agents telling them, oh, go ahead and make that lowball offer. Don't worry. It's a buyer's market. I know, they'll do stuff like that. And it could mean that that buyer doesn't get the house. And that's unfortunate. So, but if you're the only offer on the table, yeah, of course, if you're a buyer, you want to see what kind of price you can get for the home. But some sellers get so indignant, they just literally reject and don't even respond at all, which I think is a mistake. I just sold a home where the buyer's offer was initially low, but that's what they wanted to do. Very experienced real estate investor. And we got rejected. We got insulted. We got outbid on the same property. I think we wrote 5 different offers on the same property, but ultimately the buyer got the house, and ultimately the buyer paid a reasonable price for the home. So that's the way he viewed negotiating, and his persistence actually paid off. And then the third topic is really going to be about positioning the home to attract buyers. Now, what attracts buyers? Number one is pricing. I can tell you that I've had hundreds of what I call distressed properties, not necessarily the seller, but the property may not be fixed up. The property may need some work, but there is a price for everything. I remember one, this is right when COVID broke out, that it needed a lot of work. The former owners were heavy smokers. There was an awful lot of smoke smell within the house, even though the family really went to a lot of trouble to try to minimize that. They brought in a hazmat team to wipe the walls, but you could still smell it. You could still see it. You could see the outline of the pictures on the walls and the tar around it. Besides that, it needed a lot of other work, like it had the single pane aluminum windows. But it was a great floor plan in a great location, and the seller made the right decision to price it right, and it sold because they positioned the home properly, we had 26 offers on that home, and it sold as if it didn't need any work at all. That's how pricing is so important, and that's how attracting buyers doesn't necessarily come in a remodeled home. It's the whole package. And then the last topic we're going to talk about is about commission rules, because not everybody pays attention to real estate news. They only care about the topic if they are buying or selling. So there have been some rules that have changed within the last 2 years that have completely changed how commission is paid, in particular to a buyer's agent. So we're going to talk about how, if you do this right as a home seller, you can save thousands, and what you need to know about it, as well as I always like talking about my hot new listings. Richard?
Well, we're back with your real estate voice. Your host is Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Today, we're talking about something that could literally cost you tens of thousands of dollars when you sell your home. Believe it or not, it's overpricing. Now, Barb, the real estate boom seems to be behind us. Interest rates are higher. There are more homes on the market, and buyer demand has softened a bit. So the question is, how does a home seller know if their home is actually overpriced?
Well, Richard, it's a great question. And really, the market is going to give you instant feedback the moment you put your house on the market. We can tell by the number of calls we're getting to see it. We can tell by the number of views and saves that they're getting online. But it's kind of a double-edged sword for home sellers, because they want the highest price and they want the best terms, and they want generally a fast or a closing date that works for them. And they think that if they price in some negotiating room, that will help them. But it actually hurts them. It's very expensive to overprice a home. There was a recent article published by the Wall Street Journal, and it talked about when home sellers set prices too high, they are paying for it. And this is absolutely true, because overpricing, what home sellers are thinking is, hey, let's just test the market. Let's try this number, okay? But if they try that number too long and they get the feedback from the market that indicates that the buyer population doesn't want it, guess what? At the end of the day, and this study is according to the National Association of Realtors, the seller will actually net less money. The way home sellers get the most money is actually pricing at what I call very realistically versus optimistically. And so what happens when you overprice is when your home first hits the market, that is sort of when it's fresh on the market. Buyers haven't seen it before, and they're very interested. You've got their attention because it's a new listing. However, if you overprice it, they're going to look at it. They're going to look at the homes around it. They're going to be able to tell immediately if it's a good buy or not. And they make a decision online as to whether or not they're even going to come by and see the home. So buyers actually vote with their feet. Zillow has this new saying. It says screen appeal is the new curb appeal. So when a new listing hits the market, a lot of buyers have set up to get automated online alerts. So immediately they're checking it out, and in seconds, they are going to accept or reject that home and decide to put it on their must-see list. But if it's overpriced, guess what? They're skipping it, and they may or may not go back to it unless it was reduced down into a price range that draws their interest again. And here's the dangerous part of doing that. The listing basically becomes stale. And then the longer it sits on the market, the buyers start thinking, oh, well, what's wrong with the home? How come it hasn't sold? Maybe now, because it's been on the market so long, we can make a lowball offer and they'll accept it. Sometimes that happens too. So it is a problem when you go on high and then slowly walk the price down. The reason is that you've already missed the most active, ready to buy buyers, because that first 7 to 15 days on the market is prime time. You've kind of lost that momentum. And then you often end up selling the home for less than what you wanted in the first place. And at the end of the day, the homes that are priced correctly from day one attract more buyers at the same time. They create competition and you get even stronger offers. I just did it twice on 2 open houses last weekend. Multiple offers at both properties, multiple buyers coming through the house. They could see each other and they are very interested in that home. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice, along with Richard Randall, the famous Richard Randall. And we're talking about how do you know your home is overpriced? And when we come back, we're going to touch on how do you price it right and avoid leaving money on the tables. And if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're so kind, but Barb, your reputation precedes you. And I just want to mention briefly, in the time that you and I have worked together, one of the myths that is out there, and I bought into it 100% before we started talking. And of course, it's just logical. You set your price real high. If it doesn't sell there, you just ratchet down a little bit. And eventually, you're going to hit a point where it sells. You've taken care of that fallacy, I think, very well. All right, so you're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That is Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And today we're talking about how to know if your home is overpriced. More importantly, how to avoid leaving money on the table because of that.
Well, the way you avoid it is you just price it right out of the gate. Everybody thinks, oh, I'm going to try to get a little bit more, but it works the opposite if you build in negotiating room. And you can tell the market's going to tell you right away if you got it wrong. You're going to have very few showings. The buyers won't look at the home. They won't make offers. And the few showings that you do get, the feedback will be it's priced too high, or it'll be something kind of innocuous like, oh, I didn't like the floor plan. Well, we published the floor plan. How can you not like the floor plan? You drove all the way there to see the home. So I'm not sure I believe some of the agent provided feedback. Buyers essentially vote with their feet and with their money when they make an offer. So the best thing to do is price it right out of the gate. And that's the way you actually get the most money. And in today's market right now, we've got more inventory than we had a year ago. We have about 3% fewer buyers going under contract than we did a year ago. So that's basically less demand, higher inventory, which means that you have to be priced very realistically. And you cap it all off with the rates going up into the upper sixes, which makes it less affordable for some buyers. It's a problem. So the smartest strategy is to price it right out of the gate. Let the buyers decide what they're going to pay, because they will go over asking price if they like what they see, and that's the best deal available to them on the market. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900. Or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. We'd be happy to help you decide what was the right asking price for your home. Richard?
Barb may already have a buyer for your home. And if you're thinking about making that move in the next 2 to 6 months, give her a call, 719-301-3900. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about what is considered a low ball offer right here in Colorado. Stay tuned for that.